So, welcome everyone. Welcome to Sit Heads Meditation Club. My name is John. I help organize this group, and Sit Heads is a sitting and social group for people interested in or curious about deep meditation practice. We're a non-sectarian group with people from all traditions and no tradition. Everything we do is free, and if you ever want to hang out with us, you can find us at sit-heads.com. Sit-heads.com, yes. So it is my absolute pleasure and honor to be here with all of you and with James Lowe. Welcome, James. Is it okay if I give a short introduction of you before we begin?
Sure, please.
Okay. So James Lowe, as many of you already know well, is a teacher of Dzogchen, the pinnacle practice of the oldest lineage of Tibetan Buddhism. He has been practicing since the 1960s and teaching since the 1970s. In the 60s, James lived in India and studied with some of the great Tibetan masters of the 20th century, including his root teacher, Chime Rigten Lama. During that time, James also did several retreats and pilgrimages in the Himalayas. In the 1970s and 80s, on his return to Europe, James studied with the renowned Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche, thank you, and also began teaching at the request of C.R. Lama. His mission, as I understand it, not to put words in his mouth, is to convey the traditional Dzogchen instructions in a way accessible to contemporary Westerners. And if you end up finding this conversation helpful, which I suspect you will, or you enjoy it, or whatever, please consider offering dana to James. This is not something that he asked me to say. This is something that I'm saying of my own initiative. Dana is a word in the Sanskrit and Pali languages that refers to donations given in the spirit of generosity and gratitude for these teachings. A link to offer dana is in the Zoom chat. Dana goes to James, not to Sit Heads. Thank you for your patience, James. You okay for us to start our conversation?
Yeah, sure, fine.
Okay. So, coming as I do from a background that is less a Dzogchen background, I began my practice in the Dzogchen tradition, studying with Sokni Rinpoche. But since then, I've spent a lot of time in the Theravada tradition of Buddhism. I think it may be interesting, actually, because I'm coming from a different lens, and a lot of the people in Sit Heads are looking through a different lens. And so I wonder if it'll help shed an interesting light on the Dzogchen teachings for us, and maybe even for those who are used to looking at Dzogchen from the position of Dzogchen instead of from the position of somewhere else. So, how would you explain Dzogchen to a Buddhist meditator who does not come from the Tibetan tradition, who is not familiar with Dzogchen, and who thinks in terms of there is suffering, craving is its cause, there's a path out of its suffering, we do it by steadying the mind, practicing virtue, gaining insight into the mind, etc. How would you explain Dzogchen to such a practitioner?
Okay. So when John was kindly introducing me, he talked of various stages in my life. These are like clothes that I used to wear. Unfortunately, in the last years, I have not been very active due to being a bit sick. So my physical clothes don't fit me very well. So when you said James studied with this person and that person, I can't get into these clothes anymore. All the conceptual descriptions that we have, describing countries, describing our family, describing our occupation, and so on, these are like a kind of cladding that we wear for a short period of time. They are not our original or intrinsic clothing. The foundational Buddha of Dzogchen, the great completion, is called Kuntuzangpo, which means always good. And he is depicted being naked. Oh, samsara is the domain or the dimension where people wear a lot of clothes. And in Dzogchen, we don't have our own wardrobe. We wear whatever is fitting into the situation. Because my world begins with us. If my mother hadn't been there after I was born, I would have died. So, although our grasping or identification leads us to want to start with I, me, myself, this arises from a conceptual confusion. Because I, moment by moment, am with the world. If I can relax my attachment to my habitual, cultural, karmic interpretations, then I see that whatever is fitting for this moment may not be fitting for another similar moment in my life. What is required is allowing ourselves to flow into this particular situation and then to let this moment flow out. So if we were to look from the Theravada point of view, the key focus of that structure of interpretation is to see the absence of inherent existence in persons. That is to say, we are not a thing which is fixed or predetermined, but we manifest in interaction with factors, some of which seem to be internal, some of which seem to be external. These factors are called the five skandhas or the five heaps, are not things, but patterns of construction. So the first traditionally is form, which is shape and color together. Now, wherever you're sitting, if your eyes are open, you look around, you see shape and color. This provides a basis for interpretation. We have learned how to name the common phenomena of our world in a way which aligns with the cultural interpretations. So, with this first heap or this first pile, it's really more like a pile of powder than something glued together. I see shape and color. Not so interesting. What is it? When we start to examine what is it, and in particular, what is it for me, then we can start to observe the moment by moment construction of the multitude of edifices of ourself. So there is a central point here. I think there is form, there is color, the wall is flat, the table is square, the wall is painted white, the table is the brown color of wood. I'm starting with something. So shape and color are already, even as the starting point, they are already suffused with the notion of existence. So I look ahead of me, I see a bookcase, I see a wall. This is our shared experience of unawareness, of stupidity, because I see color. Well, color is a way of interpreting light. I see light, and light is movement. If I put my hand up, then the light from outside my room can't come in the window onto me. Light is movement. Perception is movement. Sound is movement. Hello. How are you? These are sounds which arise and vanish. They become meaningful if you know English or if you hear the Portuguese translation. That is to say, our conceptualization seems to add value to what we experience. This value is a kind of currency. The currency of samsara is not the pound or the dollar, but it is the belief that concepts refer to truly existing entities. So in the Theravada tradition, we start with an analysis of the illusory nature or the false nature of the conclusion that I exist as a person. That is to say, I exist as a patterning of thought. What I did in my youth, what I did when I was in India, these are stories. Stories are ways of linking words into sentences and paragraphs in order to provide a rounded sense that something happened. Now, clearly, happening is occurring. For this period of time, you nice people are stuck in front of a computer screen. Me too, I'm looking at a screen. This is a form of experience. I can see my picture, I see my mouth opening and closing. I am arising or flowing or manifesting with you. I don't have any set idea of what to talk about. I'm not trying to set up a belief system. I'm just being here with sound coming up as vibration from my throat and out of my mouth and dissolving in space. So if we observe impermanence, we see that every aspect of our life is moving. Even when you sleep, your body is moving slightly, your breath is continuing, you may or may not have dreams. If your heart stopped beating, you would be dead. You are movement. Life is movement. No, I exist. I'm James. I've always been James because I have a felt sense of the continuity of my existence. And I can describe it in terms of cause and effect, where I grew up, what my life was like, and so on. But it's gone. The people who prepare the dead bodies for the funeral are trained to make the dead look slightly alive. Put a little bit of lipstick, a little powder on the cheeks to, oh, it's looking quite good in that box. Yeah, it's a nice looking corpse. Maybe we should keep it. But it's also a victim of impermanence. It will start to rot. Whether we are alive or our body is separated from our mind, experience is always dynamic, interactive, and changing. Oh, whether the most basic structure, if we stay with the five skandhas, once you have established something is here, a shape and a color, a chair, a car, then we have liking and not liking, both of which bring us towards a more emotional definition about what is occurring. Oh, we should go to that cafe. The coffee is really good. This is how we connect with other people, by cheating ourselves and cheating them. I go into the cafe. I get my espresso. Oh, it depends on the kind of coffee they have. Is it Arabica? Another kind. Some coffees are more bitter. Some are more soft. I like this coffee. This coffee is good. Oh, this is not correct. I like this coffee. And so on the basis of my feeling tone, I am happy to support the conclusion, this is good coffee. I am calling this coffee into existence. Does the coffee have any objective existence? Because it is revealed through its scent, which is moving in the air, by its taste, which is moving down our gullet. What I access is coffee for me. So at the moment, there's a lot of trouble in the world. And there are many powerful people, usually men, who believe they know the truth. And then they have their followers and their opponents. Oh, the followers of Mr. Trump think he is a wonderful man. And those who are opposed to him think he is not so wonderful. Is he wonderful? It depends. It doesn't depend just on him, it depends on me. When Mr. Trump has retired and died, there will be many historians writing about this period, about the war with Iran and so on. Was it wise to start the war or not? It depends. Depends on your political point of view, your visa, your status to live in a country like America, and so on. That is to say, although Mr. Trump shows himself every day so much, there's probably no one who has ever shown as much of themselves without any modesty. And yet you cannot come to any truth about him. So in Dharma, in Buddhism, we are concerned with the subjective nature of what we misidentify as being an objective factual situation. I am this particular subject. I have a repertoire, a series of resources of the many patterns I have activated in my life. Now, these patterns are true in the moment of their activation. They are situationally true, but they're not true as facts which endure in time. So we come to feel hungry, and so we eat, and then we don't feel hungry. I feel hungry because I haven't eaten for some hours. But of course, as we express ourselves ordinarily, the way of expressing ourselves encapsulates us inside this seeming separate existence. I'm hungry. It's something about me, but it's a sudden photograph or a fixation of a moment which is linked to many other moments. I didn't eat, and so I feel hungry. I am hungry, not because I am hungry, but due to these causes and conditions of not having eaten. But when I fuse into the sensation, it seems to have a truth to it. So this is like the second of the skandhas, the sensation of liking, not liking, or being neutral, or seeing things as positive or negative or neutral. These are situational. Due to what happened in the last hours, what is happening just now, I have certain sensations arising for me. Some of these sensations seem to be kind of personal. They seem to come from the inside out. Oh, I'm so hungry. It's coming from inside me. But if I'm hungry, it's because I haven't eaten. And that is to say, I haven't had contact with the food which is outside of me. I What I take to be I am a conversation. I'm in conversation with my shoes, my shirt, the chair I'm sitting on. I'm in conversation with how I slept last night, with the lingering effects of the cancer treatment I had. Let's just say I'm not an isolate. I'm not an entity established in itself. I don't have self-existence. What I take to be my existence is a composite formation. But because there are so many factors operating around me and through me and in me, which give rise to my moment by moment experience, I cannot describe all that I experience. So I'm talking just now, one word after another word after another word. That's a kind of linear sequential construction of some pattern of meaning. But my experience at the moment, I see the room, I can see out of the window, I can feel some sensation in my forehead, I can feel my back. I'm not particularly liking this chair very much. There are thousands of events flowing with me and through me in this moment. Well, in the Theravada tradition, when we look at the third of the skandhas, perception, we're dealing with the beginning of the formulation of a conclusion about what it is that I see or hear or touch. Oh, I think, oh, I'm looking at the wall. So the wall is both the light which is reflected off this white sort of surface in through my eyes, and simultaneously there is a rising of the concept of wall, which is going in the other direction. Well, here we have the pulsation. The world is ceaselessly flowing in through my senses. This is very simple, very direct, very naked. Like the foundational Buddha, Kuntuzampo, who is naked. But the ego is not very relaxed to be naked. The ego says, yes, but I exist. I am someone. I'm here. I have a history. I have a shape. I have an identity. And this is what the ego is. It is the part of the conversation in which we privilege ourselves as the subject side, discoursing, talking about these various things which we encounter. This is a way of experiencing our life as a confusing deceit. I am from Scotland, but the Scotland that I am from doesn't exist. My Scotland is the Scotland of 60, 70 years ago. It's a dream. But often if I say, oh, I grew up in Scotland, someone says, oh, I have been to Scotland, it's very beautiful. But which Scotland did they go to? Not my Scotland. My Scotland is a mental event, and their Scotland is a mental event. But for the purpose of being friendly, I say, oh, yes, it's a very lovely country. We share these empty messages in order to weave some kind of delusion that we are in the same world. And so with the fourth skandha, we have associations, we have ideas, concepts that help to fill out the story we are starting to have. And this feeds into the fifth skandha, our consciousness, which is our mental faculty or mental function, which establishes the moments of experience as being the experience of really existing entities. These five skandhas, when they operate together, they generate the delusion of inherent existence. And so, from the Theravadan point of view, we have to see that these five skandhas, these five aspects, together create these illusory patterns, like being in a big house in a dream. And the problem of samsara is that we cling to our idea that real entities exist. I exist, you exist, Scotland exists. And then we can talk and bring in more concepts and keep building and rounding out these images. And what it is difficult for us to see is, oh, I am the builder of this house. I am the one constructing this idea about my identity. Mm-hmm.
Can I just ask for a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Are you describing, and have you been describing? I think I know the answer, but I want to confirm uh, the answer. Um, uh, are you describing the view of Dzogchen
No, not at
using the
all.
Theravada? You're describing
No,
the
I'm
Theravada
just talking
perspective.
about the Theravada.
Thank you for clarifying.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the Theravada view is concerned with the absence of inherent existence in people. The Mahayana view is concerned with the absence of inherent existence in phenomena. So you go to the park and you see many different kinds of tree. This is a tree. The tree has roots going into the ground and it has leaves going out into the air. So again, we see this is a tree, something is there, but the tree is the site of the process of water coming up through the roots with minerals, through the capillary action into the trunk of the tree, feeding the tree, while the leaves carry on their conversation with the air. That is to say, when we start to look around, we see that everything stands in relation to something else. When you look at yourself, you're always somewhere. At work, in bed, in the toilet, in the shower, you're always somewhere. You are never alone. When you fall asleep, if it's a deep sleep, you might not remember anything, but for sure your bed has been supporting your body. So I am James plus shirt plus trousers plus seat plus flat where I live. James is part of a dialogue, part of a conversation. There is no self-existing James. Yet I believe that I exist. So in the Theravada tradition, we try to slow everything down. We do a lot of shamatha and vipassana to try to see the dynamic construction of the delusion of a self. So we seek to separate ourselves from the provocations of external events and our internal moods and habits and so on. The good monk should not, or nun should not be reacting to events. They should remain peaceful, whatever is happening. In the Mahayana tradition, it's not like that, because we promise to work for the benefit of others. Oh God, we're going to be very, very busy. I will save all sentient beings. Good luck. This is a very big work to do. In order not to get exhausted, it's important to see I, the illusory James, will work for the benefit of all these illusory sentient beings. So I start with the absence of inherent existence in persons and in phenomena. That is to say, they have no private personal essence.
James, I just want to bring our attention to the time. If you want to end at your 7 p.m., we've got about 35 minutes left. Normally we would be doing Q&A at this point. However, I want to let you continue your explanation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So from the Mahayana point of view, because everything is empty of inherent existence, things are not what I take them to be, because they have no inherent or internal essence or existence. Yet things are exactly what I take them to be, because it is my interpretation, my definition, which gives them their seeming facticity for me. So this insight is the beginning of Tantra. Tantra mobilizes our imagination to let us see that all the aspects of our experience are nothing other than imagination, images which arise in the mind and can be believed in or not be believed in. From this point of view, we don't need to adopt a position against the world, like samsara is very dangerous, therefore we should avoid it. Rather, we think, oh yeah, there are lots of problems in samsara, but if you are careful, if you are present, if you don't reify, if you don't make the world very solid, you can move with it. Your own pliability and flexibility will bring you in contact with it. So the process is to go from being full of ideas, definitions of who we are, and a fixity of intention about my life, to a sense of my dynamic co-emergence with circumstances moment by moment. I breathe in, I breathe out. This works because there is some space in the lungs. Similarly, I imagine, and then I don't imagine. I'm thinking about something that happened this morning, and then I'm not. So I see, oh, my mind fills and empties, fills and empties. And this is part of the non-dual relationality of my participation as part of the field. So in Dzogchen practice, we don't focus on analysis of events. We don't try to control what is happening. But we start by relaxing into the space of the emergence of experience. Moment by moment, thousands of potentials are flowing through us. When we see that the ground of this emergence is ungraspable, it's not a thing. So we might say, my essence is the absence of me. That is to say, one aspect of what I take to be me is the space within which I manifest. The space has no substance. What emerges has patterns. We work with how to participate in the field of ever-changing patternings. This means that I don't know the truth about me. I don't know what I really want. And I don't know what anyone else really wants or needs. These are ideas. And what we want, what we like, changes. So not only in terms of the empty basis of the mind, but the fleeting movement of the events of my life, both are ungraspable. So this term Dzogchen means the great completion. This means everything is already empty of inherent existence. So I'm looking at this image of John. Behind him, I see the wall. I can see it's a wall constructed of bricks. The bricks are placed on top of each other with some cement to hold them in place. The wall looks quite solid. It can carry the weight of the ceiling and the roof. It's a wall, or it's a pattern of bricks. It's both. The fact that there is no self-substance or true existence to this shape of the wall doesn't mean that it's not there. So rather than spending a lot of time thinking, well, what is the objective status of the wall? because that kind of inquiry will only bind me to more and more concepts. Rather, we relax into the out-breath, present with our senses open. Whatever comes, comes. Whatever goes, goes. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're healthy, sometimes we're sick. Now, the ego is in love with the vertical axis for organizing superiority, inferiority. So we sort out our experience into good things we want to happen again and bad things we don't want to happen again. This is the practice of samsara. Because you start with, I am real, this is real. But in Dzogchen, we start with open to open. We start to experience our awareness, which is not the same as our dualistic consciousness. Thoughts, interpretations, memories come in to construct patterns, but these patterns dissolve. So, for example, here I have a book of texts I translated and introduced. I wrote all the words in the book many, many times as I edited the translations and so on. It's my book, if you like.
É o meu livro, por assim dizer.
But I can't remember what's in it. So having my name on the front of the book is a bit deceptive because I have been dying all my life. Being excited, running around as a child, wanting to climb trees and so on. But the tree climber is dead. Even if somebody said, James, I give you $1 million, I would have to look everywhere, maybe in my ears, up my nose. Where is the tree climber? He's gone. So what is my past? For me, it is what may or may not arise in the moment and be called the past. So when we sit in the practice, we relax and open and allow the flow of every kind of experience without any editing or control. And then we see thoughts, feelings, sensations, memories are self-arising and self-vanishing. They are movements in the flow, patterns in the flow. So it's a practice of meditation, which is entirely about not doing, not making. This doesn't mean that you're the victim of circumstances, because the more we can sit on what you might call a bad day and feel lost, lonely, depressed, unloved, confused, all these kind of thoughts, feelings, and tightnesses in the body, they are there and gone. So the basic meditation instruction, which is slightly different from the Theravada approach, is don't go after past thoughts. Don't wait expectantly for future thoughts. Just stay present in the here and now, because this is a site where everything happens. The fresh, vibrant immediacy of our life is here and now. So, Dzogchen is a very big field and there are many things to say, but we have 20 minutes more, so we could maybe do some questions.
Sounds good to me. Thank you. Thank you so much, James. And I really appreciate both the deep and comprehensive grounding in sort of view that you provided, as well as some practical meditation instructions that we can go take to our cushion or our chair or our
Super.
afternoon walk and implement. I appreciate that very much. So, I will suppress my desperate urge to ask you more questions and open it up to questions from the audience.
Good.
Oh,
If you have a question, the thing to do, the way that we do it here at Sit Heads, is don't raise your little yellow Zoom hand and don't raise your flesh hand either. Just send a chat privately to me. If you speak English, you could tell me what you want to ask James about. That would be ideal. But if you speak only Portuguese, I won't understand.
Translate. Isso.
Okay, yeah, but no, but it's just so that I can get sort of a cue of who wants to ask what, and then I will invite you up to ask your question directly to James.
Entendi.
If you wish to remain anonymous, just tell me in your message that you want me to ask it. Even if it's in Portuguese, I'll probably get it, and then I will ask on your behalf, and I won't name you. So start your engines, ladies and gentlemen. Send me those chats and let's take advantage of this wonderful opportunity to ask questions of such a special teacher. Here they
Então
come.
vamos
Okay,
tomar.
we have an anonymous question, but please get the chats coming. We'll do as many as we can. Other things, some things I wanted to mention quickly. Just ask one question at a time, and no two-part questions. That's just two questions. Yeah. Keep your question concise if you can. I've just found that I have to say these things. It's a question because it ends in a question mark. And it should be just one or two sentences without too much preamble. I know that it's very tempting.
Okay.
Isso.
Okay, so an anonymous question for you, James. If we're relaxing into whatever's arising without trying to control it, what keeps our behavior aligned with ethics, especially when stuff like anger or desire comes up?
Okay. So what I was saying is particularly fitting to when you're sitting and doing your meditation practice. If you like, what you're doing is a kind of spring cleaning, because we have patterns of thought which link with other patterns of thought. And that becomes the basis of my sense, I don't like what you said, or I disagree with you. And so the reaction to what arises can be very strong. So it's very important in the meditation to let good thoughts vanish so that you forget them. Some brilliant, deep Dharma insight arises and vanishes, and you don't catch it. You just let it go. Let it go. By doing this, you start to thin out your personal agenda, your personal belief system. So you go from I believe this to this is arising for me, to this is arising, to just coming and going, coming and going. So when you have that relaxed hospitality and you're talking with someone and they say something you don't agree with, you have a familiar crossroads. Do I turn towards truth and say, you must be really stupid to believe that? Or do I stay with compassion? You believe that. I believe this. Both are like patterns of illusion. We cannot speak the truth. We speak patterns of words and images and emotions which create transient cloud patterns. So the more I unburden myself of my historical interpretive matrix, the more I have space to be fresh with you. So if we receive someone, if we see them, if we hear them without squeezing them into my notion of what they should say or shouldn't say, then we can respond to how they are. If you go to a friend's house for a party and they have some music and you want to dance. There are two kinds of people you shouldn't dance with. People who are very embarrassed and say, oh, I can't dance, I can't dance. If they
This
say
was
that, don't try to dance with them. But if they say, I'd love to dance, in fact, I'm actually a professional dancer, that's also very difficult to dance with because they're already over-polished, a bit too professional. But if the music's good and you're relaxed and you're dancing with someone and they're happy to dance with you, there's this particular flavor to that. You can see the co-emergence. Your bodies come into some kind of alignment. There's no orchestra conductor. It's just the intuitive spontaneity. So finding that possibility of a shared rhythm, of a co-emergence, that is essentially ethical. It's not moral in that it doesn't follow rules, but it's ethical because it's neither invading nor abandoning. Wisdom is the basis for compassion. There's a lot of compassion without wisdom. There are many Christian missionaries who are determined to put bras on all the tribal women in the forests of the world because it's immoral to go around naked, even in the jungle. So this is beliefs. Is it a good thing to dress tribal people up in Western clothes? They already have their clothes, but they're the wrong clothes. So this is where you see morality is harsh, judgmental, impositional. But ethics is gentle and relational. So when we have less and less agenda towards the other, when we don't know what they should do, then we have some space for meeting, which is why the general movement of our life in Dzogchen is to be relaxed and responsive. Anxiety, depression, jealousy, feelings of hopelessness, these all arise from reification. I really messed up. I've ruined my life. I wish I hadn't done that. Then you're trapped in this internal conversation between self as subject and self as object. Most of us have experienced moments when we felt, I hate myself. It's a very powerful feeling, but it's also kind of crazy. I, the hater, hate myself. That is to say, I don't hate all of me. I don't hate the hater because I'm the hater. But that stupid James, he did that. He's a bad person. It's when we are full of these habits of solidification, of separation of self and other internally and interpersonally, that we lose the field of ethics. So the general approach of Dzogchen, I'm very aware our time is vanishing, but the general approach of Dzogchen is about welcome. Welcome, come as you are. There is no need to make yourself artificial to be welcomed. The space of shared experience is open, and the more we loosen ourselves and find our immediacy of contact, the more we respond in any situation as required. So the basic positioning is this: our emptiness, our openness, our ungraspability as someone, that we don't exist as a thing. This is wisdom. This is called the Dharmakaya, or the mind of the Buddha. And this is for me. This is intrinsic to each sentient being, no matter what their behavior is, no matter if they're cruel and selfish, their fundamental essence or basis is ungraspable emptiness. Then the movement that I have, which is personal, the sensations in my body, feelings of happiness, of freedom, or needing to sleep, This arises for the other. And my being in the world, walking, talking, acting, doing things, this is for the other. Emptiness is for me. Relationality is for being with the other. So when we truly open into this, we have no private agenda of needing to dominate people, exploit them, demean them. All we have is this radiant flow of connectivity, which is in its very empty light structure, intrinsically ethical. Oh, this is Thursday's Dzogchen. Tomorrow it will be different. We cannot speak the truth. We can open to it and we can respond within it, but you can't define it. And I think that's our time.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, James, for being here with us. Thank you so much for sharing the teachings. Deep apologies to anyone whose questions we didn't reach.
My fault.
But I think we all, I hope we all benefited from the teachings that were given.
Super.
Once more in the chat, we have the link for offering Dana to James, as well as just a link to James's website. If you found this beneficial, please consider supporting these wonderful teachings so that we can all continue to receive them.
And on the website, there's a lot of information freely available. You can download or read whatever you like.
When we're able to edit this video, we'll have to try and separate out English and Portuguese versions, which may be above my skill level, but we will find someone whose skill level it is within. It will be up on our YouTube page. The link to that is also in the Zoom chat. I want to say a very heartfelt thank you to Mada for her incredible translation and the work that I know that must take. And thank you, Pedro, as well, for your technical assistance.
Indeed.
I appreciate it very
Wonderful.
much.
Obrigado, Pedro.
That's the thing. This is always a team effort. It is the Sangha that does the teaching. Because people gather together with a genuine interest, this is a foundational, supportive structure which allows the teaching to come across.
Thank you, James. And James, as a member of that Sangha yourself, thank you for being here very much. Thank you for sharing these teachings. And thank you everyone who attended for your time, your attention, and your practice.
Muito obrigada.
I hope you all have a wonderful day or evening, as the case may be. Thank you all very much.
Super. Thank you.
You too, John. Thank you.
Thanks for the
Bye,
invitation.
everyone.
Glad to be with you.
Thank you for accepting it. It was an absolute pleasure. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye.